here I am, someone who apparently doesn't like visual novels, talking about them again. But let's talk about Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York, and Shadows of New York. Coteries was released in 2019, and Shadows was released earlier this year. No, it was released last year. It was September 2020. I'm still not used to that. So, yeah, these are visual novels set in the fantastic World of Darkness property. This is something I've had a love for a long time. My first live roleplay experience was a game of Vampire. Way back when I was like in my 20s, and I didn't really understand it then, and I was very kind of young and naive, and I had no idea what I was doing. I love the idea of the Malkavians because I have my own mental disorders, so why not? But I really also love the Toreadors, being a creative person as well. I mean, if you could ever like have a weird cross hybrid clan, that'd be my dream. A Toreador Malkavian, jeez, that'd be crazy. But I love this property. I've also seen the LA by Night series on Geek and Sundry. I love Alexander Ward. I didn't realise I'd seen him in so much until that. And yeah, there's just so much love about this world. They do it really well. They marry a lot of different ideas of vampires through the ages. The idea was it was meant to be kind of gritty and urban, but it also paid homage to Nosferatu, to Dracula, to the Anne Rice kind of style. There was a lot of influences they drew, and I love it. There was a TV series way back when that I didn't really see, but it was a kind of a cop procedural thing with vampires. It wasn't that great, so I don't feel I've missed out. But when I heard about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines way back when, I played it a bit, but it just mechanically didn't sit with me very well. I've played it since as well. I've tried getting into it 2 or 3 times. It just doesn't mechanically work for me. So I've put it on the back burner, but I have pre-ordered. I know I always say don't do, but I did pre-order 2, so that will hopefully come out at some point in the near future. Unless it pulls a Cyberpunk and keeps delaying. So I'm definitely very entrenched in this world. I love it. I know much of the lore. I'm probably quite out of touch with any modern updatings, but I'm kind of in tune with it to a degree. It's still a world that I love dipping into. And I tried playing Shadows way back when, but it was when I was more vehemently opposed to visual novels. Is if I saw something was a visual novel, I just wouldn't touch it. But I'm like, well, I've got these. They're in my library. I may as well play them because I seem to be enjoying visual novels. So I did. I didn't play them back to back. I gave a bit of a gap between the two. I think that would have been too much. And like a lot of people, I found Coteries a little boring. It wasn't really that focused. You could make a whole bunch of choices and miss out whole chunks of the game by making certain choices. And it didn't feel a great narrative experience. I sort of enjoyed the story, but I knew people said Shadows was much better. It was a tighter story, very singular focused, with a little bit of wiggle room. You could make certain choices, but at the end of the day, you're going to have a pretty straight shot. And I was like, okay. So like I say, the first one, I played the Toreador, of course. I didn't play any of the other ones, and I stayed, like I always do in these things, I stayed with the choices I made. I didn't try and get every eventual outcome. I just don't want to spend too much time replaying a game, because I play games for the story. If I know the story, I don't want to hear that story 50,000 times, especially close to each other. I might replay it down the line, years, when I've forgotten most of the story, maybe. But certainly this time, I'm not going to do it again. So, with that in mind, knowing how Coteries kind of ends, I then booted up Shadows and was like, okay, I don't even choose a clan. I am La Sombra. There is no choice here. I like this. It's making a very concerted effort to tell one tale. Brilliant. And a lot of the nods to, the old characters, I mean, the list that we find on Callahan being these characters that you were advised to try and recruit, shall we say, by Kadir in the first one. In fact, we've got Kadir back, we have Prince Panard, we have Thomas Arturo, we have all these people, Kaiser, all these people we experienced something with, and Benoit, in the first entry. But one thing I love that they did, and I think we're going to see a lot more of this in media going forward, they incorporated the pandemic in Julia's story. And I love that. They made the end of the game like, the whole city of New York is closing down because lockdown, because pandemic. And it's an interesting idea because we know what it's like as human beings to experience a pandemic. But what if you're a creature of the night? What if you are a vampire? How does that factor in? Do you go along with what everyone else is doing to make sure the masquerade is upheld? Or do you just go, I don't care, people can call me an anti-masker or a Karen or whatever, I'm just going to go and live my life and get on with it because it doesn't matter. I mean, the fact that Julia's got a human at home means she might be a bit more careful. I'm not sure how viruses can transfer via vampire. I'm not sure if that's possible at all. So, I don't know. But being careful might be a good idea for Dakota's sake. But I love this tale. I was gripped. I actually completed it in one day. In 2 sittings in one day. It took a total of about 3.5 hours, I think. And that wasn't me rushing through. I was reading all the, the sort of log entries and the journal entries, should I say, the dictionary. Because whilst I know these terms, it's fun to read them in her interpretation. I didn't just breeze through. I spent time doing that. I did, size up what's the best option to go. I love going back to that girl who loves being bit, for example, and things like that. There's so much there that if you've played the first one, you get a lot out of. But if you haven't, it's still a wonderfully told tale. And the fact that they lean on their own roots, they are a Polish studio, Draw Distance, who made this. And the fact that they make their lead character now Eastern European as well. I respect that. It's making sure their heritage is respected, yeah. It's something that I loved about it. The fact that they incorporated that element so that they could share their experiences of what that's been like as well. The idea of Eastern Europeans being a very certain way and religion playing a certain part of their life. And it's again just building this as a believable world. And like I say, incorporating the pandemic, all of this just made such a great tale. And it's sad that it took them the second go around to get that. And a pandemic. But if they'd have done that for the first one, I think that really would have taken off. And people would have loved it. I don't know if there's going to be any more of these. I kind of hope there are. I'm not that interested in the werewolf ones and things like that. I'm not too bothered about the rest of the World of Darkness unless something really sort of is there as a massive draw. I don't have much experience in those. So it's a bit of a weird world to me. I know those things exist, but I don't necessarily find myself as drawn to them. But I love this for what it was. And like I say, I really need to reevaluate my apparent stance that I don't like visual novels, because I've played a lot of them these past couple of months, haven't I? But yeah, if you can get hold of these, if you can pick them up anyway, have a go at them. If you picked them up, say, in a humble bundle like I did and just went, I'm probably not going to play them, but I've got to use up my choices, give them a go. Even if you think you hate visual novels, But that's all I want to say about these. Definitely a fun romp and some great stories. Great political angles, which is typical to the World of Darkness. Absolutely brilliant. Chef's kiss to you, Draw Distance. So until next time, as always, thank you for watching and take care.